Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We are live from Los Angeles and we are going to talk about watches. We're going to start with the Decade One auction today by Phillips Geneva. As you may have noticed, they are celebrating the 10th anniversary of their watch auctions, which is an enterprise they started in collaboration with Bach and Rousseau. Um, it's I mean, it's been a very mature project since the beginning, obviously, but it has been an interesting ride, and they have a lot of very fascinating pieces, a lot of heavyweight, serious, high complication, high value pieces to announce those 10 years to celebrate the decade. So we are going to look at that all. Maybe we'll also tie some loose ends from the auction that we were looking at last night, which was the Monaco Legend exclusive timepieces auction. So if you have any questions about either one of the auctions, as long as you send it in with the specific lot number via super chat, I'll be more than happy to return to that. I sent in both of the links into the chat, so feel free to browse them at your own leisure, at your own pace, and send in the lot numbers whenever you can, whenever you like. I think I will start again just to warm up my vocal cords with some content from Instagram. This is also a good chance for you to follow me on Instagram if you aren't already. You guys know that I do a lot of contemporary stuff, but what I really take pleasure in is to dive into the archive and come up with images and visuals that not many others have shared before, if anyone at all. Obviously, I don't keep tabs on anyone else. That's what the creeps do to copy my content. So I just do my own thing as always. But this was a great piece to find for me because it is from 1996, which is a signal year, of course, for Schumi. That is when he actually switched, moved from Benetton to Scuderia Ferrari. And it also coincided, of course, with his official relationship as an Omega ambassador to which saw the launch of these particular pieces. These are self-winding versions of the Omega Speedmaster. They're sometimes known as Speedmaster Reduced because of their compact case size. Other times they're known as simply Speedmaster Automatic. They are powered, after all, with an ETA 2890-2 base with a Dubois Deprat chronograph module on top of it. And not coincidentally, they were introduced in 1996 with in these two colors, which are, of course, traditional Ferrari colors as well. The racing red needs no introduction, really. Rosso Corsa, of course, that's the emblematic Ferrari color, but so is the yellow, Giallo Modena, which is, of course, the background of their classic prancing horse badge, as well as the color associated with their home town, Modena, of course. And you can see at this launch, which was actually an event at the karting track where Schumi paid his dues as a young lad in Kerpen, Germany. That's where Omega chose to launch their relationship and launch these watches. Very cool. One watch on each wrist for Shumi. And these were also quite beautifully presented. It was a rubber presentation box, right, that would open like this, where you could exhibit the watch as well. Of course, it obviously looks like the tires of a Formula One car, and it also bears the signature of Michael Schumacher as well. Beautiful, beautiful pieces. Very underrated. Relative bargain, of course, compared to the moon watches of this world. Obviously, the appeal is very different, right? It's there is a later piece that has a blue dial as well, so it's kind of like a trilogy, and they can also be found, though under a slightly different reference number, on matching stainless steel bracelets as well. I have to say I do love these double ridged leather straps because obviously they hearken to the aesthetics of a leather interior of a sports car. And in fact, they were literally made by the same company that to this day still makes the interiors of Ferrari cars, and at that time was supplying Scuderia Ferrari with everything leather related. So that's something to keep in mind. Very cool piece. Don't hesitate to hit the like button on the Instagram post as well, and feel free to share your comments. St. Peter, thank you so much. Pummel the like button. I appreciate you. I really, really do. Thank you. Tim G says, upvoted. I really appreciate you. Nice to see you, Ryan. Hak Sameach. The next one is a great segue, actually, for our auction, because we are looking at the investment banker and philanthropist, Oscar Strauss Schaefer, who is a very eminent Patek Philippe collector. He, I think, was until very recently, he may have already retired, head of Rivulet Capital, and he was also, I think, until 2 years ago or so, the chairman and now chairman emeritus of the New York Philharmonic. So he has a lot of interesting chiming watches in his collection as well. This is one of those. You're looking at his 5207 P. It is a minute repeating instantaneous perpetual calendar with a tourbillon escapement. Very handsome brune doré dial, kind of a honey gold shade or honey-like gold shade, let's put it this way, so as not, so it's not confused with the alloy of another brand, a rival brand, as it were. In traditional Patek Philippe fashion, of course, it does not have a cutout on the dial to show the tourbillon cage. Rather, it has the inscription of the very word as well as the specific movement number. It has this sort of linear layout, usually similar to their annual calendars for the calendrical indications. At 12 o'clock, you have the date. At around 10 o'clock, you have the day of the week. And at 2 o'clock, you have the month. But of course, you can tell that this is a perpetual calendar from not only the moon phase indicator, which is featured in Patek's annual calendars as well, but certainly with the leap year indicator as well as the day-night indicator, which are shown via smaller aperture in the lower part of the dial. Of course, you have the shark fin-like slider here for the chiming functions on the left flank of the case, and you can already get an idea about how the sculptural case, which already is quite beautiful, is further ennobled by these relief engravings that are actually done by hand, and that happens on a platinum case is even more impressive and precious, of course. As with all grand complication, high complication pieces by Patek, perhaps the most impressive part of the watch is the movement, which of course has beautiful hand finishing throughout. Some of the highlights include the cap for the centrifugal governor, right, which basically keeps the pace of the chiming functions of the watch, very important. And it bears the Calatrava cross. Of course, the batwing style tourbillon bridge, which features no less than 8 inward angles, a sure sign of artisanal craft. But my favorite part is this 5-spoke, 14-karat gold center wheel, which is actually modeled after the turning wheels of finishing tools of a bygone time, specifically those that of the topping tools, the large wheels of the topping tools. And the spokes, as you can see, the 5 spokes are once again hand finished with mirrored surfaces, and they're beautifully rounded as well. You can see how the movement features the hallmark of Geneva as well. Circular Geneva waves on the bridges, perlage, the circular graining on the base plate, and also, of course, the surface of all the steel parts, which include the frontal bridge for the tourbillon, and of course, the hammers for the chiming mechanism. They are actually black polished on the surface, and obviously hand beveled as well. Beautiful, beautiful piece. This is what Oscar Schaefer is wearing, and he is featured here with Brad Trent, who is a photographer who saw him on a yearly basis because he was basically working for the magazine Barron's to take photographs for their like mid-year investors roundtable or something like that. I clearly don't know anything about investing, and that's why I look for your support here, right? You know, if I had made better investments, maybe I wouldn't, but it won't hold me back from sharing watches from the absolutely impressive collection of this financier, Oscar Schaefer, Chairman Emeritus also of New York Philharmonic. Anyone who is sending these messages on Kik to sell me on something, I advise that you don't. I delete immediately, and I don't, I honestly don't care. It's just there. If people want to follow, they follow. If they want to support, they support. I'll get there in due time, as I always do. I don't need your help. Go scam someone else. Don't mess with me. All right. This is actually a watch, the one I was taking a look at here. That is lot 89 of the Decade 1 auction, which is what we are going to look at now. The cover girl is the 1518 in stainless steel, which keeps coming back because Phillips sold the exact same watch in 2016 for more than $11 million. And it's part of this auction as well, the exact same example. As the highlighted watch. So it is very important, and it is also listed, I think, with an estimate that is in excess of 8 million Swiss francs, which, again, it remains to be seen how much it will actually sell for. We are looking at this 5207P. Again, once Patek Philippe's flagship watch that replaced a very eminent reference in 5016. Grand complication worthy of the name. Minute repeating, instantaneous perpetual calendar, meaning that all calendrical indications jump instantly at midnight together, including, of course, at the end of the short month, since this is a perpetual calendar. And I think, pardon me, I've been able to hear the chiming of this particular watch. It's actually quite good for a platinum case, right? You guys probably have heard on this channel already that the denser, quote unquote, the more precious the material is, chances are that the sound is going to be a little less loud. That's why traditionally most brands prefer different shades of gold to get that right balance between the precious material and the level of the sound. And that's why in modern time, a lot of the contemporary pieces navigate towards less precious material, less traditionally precious material like titanium, like even sapphire crystal, so that they can actually gain a certain clarity and level of sound that they can't achieve with traditionally prestigious case materials. I also love this concave bezel as well, which has a nice slimming effect on the platinum case. This is lot 89, lot number 89 from the Decade 1 auction, Phillips Geneva. The pre-auction estimate is in the range between 445,000 to 890,000 in Swiss francs. Sorry, in US dollars. The link is right there. Again, if you would like to direct my attention to any particular lots, please feel free. I'm going to kind of go my own way, get at things at my own pace, but I'm happy to digress, go another way when you send in a request with a super chat, and I will start with, again, a very special piece. Lot number 5 is one of those Tokyo boutique limited editions from FP Jean. These were usually made for the anniversaries of FP Jean's first global location, first own boutique in Tokyo. This is the 5th anniversary edition, 99 pieces in that combination of titanium and pink gold that distinguishes these watches, these Tokyo editions. They also feature ruthenium dials, which of course is quite rare when it comes to anything beyond the ruthenium editions themselves. And you can see the unique thing about this perpetual calendar is that it actually follows the design outlines of what is usually the calendrier, the annual calendar by François-Paul Jean, which has a retrograde date indicator. Again, of course, that in itself becomes even more impressive, perhaps, in the case of a perpetual calendar. Beautiful crescent-like scale that faces the crown, that faces the direction of lots, 3 o'clock. Number 89 out of the 99 pieces. Of course, it has the classic octa automatic movement. In this case, caliber 1303, rendered in 18 karat pink gold, with its rotor eccentrically placed, slightly off center, and that is in 22 carats. Very beautiful piece, very unique. Of course, FP Jean makes other perpetual calendars, but none of them looks anything like this, not only in the combination of materials, but also in terms of dial layout itself. This is lot number 5, and the pre-auction estimate sets the value of the watch between 102,000 to 203,000 in US dollars. Lot number 4 is the classic Daniel Roth tourbillon régulateur, the double face tourbillon reference C187. In an 18 karat yellow gold case, that signature double ellipse shape. Of course, the framing of the tourbillon cage is itself also very unique and somewhat dramatic. I say it in a good way. Beautifully finished tourbillon bridge. What remains distinctive is the 3-arm seconds register, or seconds, 3-arm seconds indicator, let's put it this way, with a triple sector, pardon me, each divided to 20-second scales. And these 3 arms are all of varying and different length. So the shortest one shows seconds 0 to 20, and then the longer one takes its turn, 20 to 40, and the longest one, 40 to 60, in the form of that triple sector scale, which is kind of like a downward facing crescent. And the rest of the dial, the upper sector and half of the dial, has that classic vertical stripe guilloche that is part of the brand's visual signature. John D, nice to see you, man. Yes, absolutely. I love it. I love it myself as well. And of course, the double face, which gives the watch the name Régulateur Tourbillon, is because it has that off-center oversized pointer date, again on the second dial on the back, and a power reserve indicator as well, which is in the form of an upward-facing crescent. And these hands too are heat blued, made out of stainless steel, again against the backdrop of a silver two-tone dial. Each sector is carefully delineated with this coin-edged or fluted pattern. Just like the main dial as well, of course. Very beautiful and artful design. The case itself is quite unique and like nothing else that you can find on the market before or after. Daniel Roth reference C187, the double-faced tourbillon wristwatch. At lot number 4, the pre-auction estimate sets the value of the watch somewhere between $76,300 to $153,000 in US dollars. Again, I kindly remind you that this is an independent channel, not sponsored or paid for by any gray market profiteer or any auction house, not supported or led by any one from the industry or any particular brand, which means that I can speak my mind, that I can work for you, that I work only at your behest, but that also means that I depend on your support. So anything you can do with the ways that YouTube provides you or in the ways that are outlined in the video description, are very much appreciated and, in fact, direly needed. So contribute as freely and frequently as you can. Thank you for your support. And hit the like button and share the link too, so we can at least expand on this community and work from there. Lot number 8 is an Urban Jurgensen piece. Of course, they have been recently resurrected with new American owners who lead the brand in conjunction with Kari Voutilainen, one of the prominent independent watchmakers of our time. But from their previous era, from the 80s and 90s, so to speak, perhaps some of their most precious and sought-after pieces were these perpetual calendars, the reference 2 and reference 3 specifically, which have more or less the same dial layout, except the reference 3 has the additional power reserve indicator that is placed at 12 o'clock right under the moon phase indicator, as you can see right here. I believe this is German, right, between Sonn for Sonntag, Sunday, and März, Mer for März, March. I believe that's it. 38 millimeter platinum case with a stepped bezel and teardrop lugs. A dial engine turned by hand with, again, each sector framed with a coin-etched pattern. Basket weave for the 2 sub-dials, and Claude Paris for, or actually it's Grain d'Orge for the center dial. The piece comes with its original presentation material. The case again is in platinum. Which presents a minimal but still captivating contrast with the dial, which seems like just another tone, but has, of course, its unique warmth to it. The movements of these pieces were using Frédéric Piguet caliber 71 base with, of course, the proprietary Urban Jurgensen rotor, among other modifications. This is lot number 8 for the Urban Jurgensen perpetual calendar with indications for power reserve and phases of the moon. The estimated value for this watch is 38,100 to 76,300 in US dollars. Lot number 1 is the rising Japanese independent maker, Otsuka Lotek, which is Jiro Katayama's brand. This is the number 5 Kai. their wandering hours piece. Stainless steel, 40.5 millimeters in diameter. The movement is built on the base of a Miyota caliber 90S5, but of course heavily modified to meet the specifications of this complication. And of course, the design of the watch has a very unique aesthetic appropriate to this brand, kind of a steampunk vibe, where each design really looks like a unique technical instrument or some sort of gadget from a not too distant future, from an alternative future, perhaps alternate universe, so to speak. Lot number 1 for Otsuka Lotec model number 5 Kai, with an estimated value between 6,300 to 12,600 in US dollars. And of course, this is a relatively rare opportunity to acquire a watch like this, because after all, they still remain a Japan exclusive brand where each release is assigned by lottery as well. So they, as popular as they have become of late, they have not really started making the rounds globally in large numbers. So this could be an interesting opportunity to buy one, possibly. Lot number 3 is the Legacy Machine Split Escapement Evo. The Evo line of MBNF, of course, has a certain sporty and even ergonomic appeal. And of course, the Legacy Machine line itself expanded the appeal of the brand that until that point, until 2011, distinguished itself really with a very unique design language that was not even recognizable to the mainstream collector as a wristwatch. So this was, I think, much needed for a broader recognition of the brand, the Legacy Machine collection, but also I think they still abide by the larger aesthetic codes of the brand, still very much recognizable as an MBNF piece. Of course, the suspended or flying balance wheel is very much part of that Legacy Machine aesthetic by now. Split escapement with, again, an eccentric dial for the hour and minutes, pointer date, and power reserve indicator. 44 millimeters in diameter for this titanium piece. This is another Stephen McDonnell movement. So is the perpetual calendar and the sequential, the unique chronograph movements. But here we have, again, the Evo version of the Legacy Machine split escapement, MBNF in titanium with a blue dial. The pre-auction estimate sets the value of the piece between 31,800 to 63,600 in US dollars. Lot number 6 is a very unique watch. It is a one-of-a-kind Ferdinand Berthoud that is now the third installment of Naissance d'une montre project, Birth of a Watch, under the aegis of Time Aeon Foundation, established by Robert Grebel, Stephen Forsey, Philippe Dufort, Vienna Alter, and Kari Voutilainen to support, preserve, and transmit the dying art of traditional watchmaking techniques. This particular installment was fully developed, created, and assembled by the Ferdinand Berthoud and Chopard teams. The pieces, of course, don't just raise money for these traditional watchmaking arts. They're also uniquely made by hand using traditional tools. Over 80 members of the teams were involved with this Naissance d'une montre 3, pièce unique, at lot number 6. Completely unique open work dial, which is a first for Ferdinand Berthoud watch. Eccentrically placed dial for hours and minutes at around 1:30, traditionally speaking, on the dial. The fusée and chain is also visible in the lower part. This is a constant force watch. The split bimetallic Guillaume balance, the circular balance bridge supporting the shock absorber, featuring 2 diamond end stones. A power reserve indicator as well right here. This unique example is going to be the only one in stainless steel. And this particular series is going to be made at the rate of 2 per year, 10 pieces in total in gold, starting in 2026 for Ferdinand Berthoud. And in fact, all these 10 pieces are already spoken for and sold out, apparently. Lot number 6, again, it is a piece that starts at no reserve, but certainly is going to attract a lot of attention. First of all, because it is so unique, also because of the particular charitable cause that directly supports watchmaking as well, the traditional arts and crafts of watchmaking. And the estimated value of the piece is somewhere around $500,000 to $1 million for lot 6. Ferdinand Berthoud, Naissance d'une montre, 3 pièces uniques in stainless steel. Feel free to send in your requests. The link is there. Feel free to join the panel if you would like. We're looking at a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar chronograph, the 3971 specifically. Very quick hint about that is the 3971 is more or less a first series 3970 with an exhibition case back. Right? At some point, these two references were merged when Patek started offering exhibition casebacks and screw-down casebacks specifically on their reference 3970. So this is rather unique. The 3971 is basically an early example of the 3970, to put it in a general way, with an exhibition caseback. The dial aesthetics, therefore, remain very similar, with baton markers for the hours, leaf style hands, the feuille hands for the hour and minutes. A beautiful, beautiful piece, rendered in this case in yellow gold, 36 millimeters in diameter. Some examples, like this one, have oversized hallmarks on the outside of the lugs. You can see the concave bezel again. That has an overall slimming effect for the watch as well. Beautiful opaline silver dial. And again, an exhibition case back on the CH27-70Q, the classic Lemania-based chronograph movement. Beautiful fluted lugs that are downward turning, very aesthetically pleasing. This particular example at lot number 14 also has all its original accessories, its certificate of origin dated to July 1990, a numbered envelope, documents from Patek Philippe and Garrard, document holders with the product literature, And of course, the wooden presentation box, as well as its additional outer packaging. I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't take a picture of the exhibition case back, but that's what this reference means. So rest assured that it does have an exhibition case back. Lot 14 of the Decade 1, Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar, chronograph, reference 3971. The pre-auction estimate sets the value of the watch somewhere between 127,000 to 254,000 in US dollars. Something a little more predictable, but still quite lovely and impressive. Lot 26 is a Rolex Cosmograph Daytona from that first ever reference that was fitted with a self-winding movement, the caliber 4030, built on the base of Zenit El Primero caliber 400. Of course, this is reference 16520 with a black dial from around 1996 with a T serial, well preserved with subtle patina on the outer rings of those chronograph registers, which gives the watch overall a very appealing look. The case, as you can see from the back as well, is very well preserved. So is the bracelet. All of these things can matter for vintage and new vintage examples of Rolex. And this particular piece is a time capsule of sorts, because it does come with its original warranty papers, product literature, the leather wallet to hold the documents, as well as the fitted presentation box and its outer packaging. This is lot number 26 for the reference 16520, the Zenit Daytona, so to speak, with the black dial. The estimated value of the piece is in the range between 25,400 to 50,900. We were just talking about the 3971. Here's a 3970. This is a 3970 EP. From the second series in platinum. The piece is accompanied by its certificate of origin that dates the sale of this watch to April 18th, 1991. The watch is also made in 1991, and it is accompanied by the archival extract that confirms that too. Here it is, posed on its certificate of origin, and here is the archival extract. Again, beautiful platinum case with those oversized hallmarks, nicely preserved. The fluted and downturned lugs that give the watch an even more of a vintage feel, even though it is a neo-vintage classic in its own right. The opaline silver dial provides a very nice and subtle contrast to the polished platinum case. And again, as is the case with the early 2 series, it has the leaf-shaped hands and the classic baton markers for the hours. This particular piece has a solid case back. The exhibition case back was an option for the second series, but it remains quite rare. This is lot number 30 for a platinum example of Patek's reference 3970, the perpetual calendar chronograph, 36 millimeters in diameter, built on the base of the Lemania CH27 chronograph movement. The pre-auction estimate is set between 189,000 to 377,000 in US dollars. I think we haven't reached, and in fact, we didn't even get close to our goal. Another minute and a half to go, maybe a minute left for 5 super chats of $5 or more. So far, only St. Peter contributed $1.99. Thank you, St. Peter. I do appreciate you, but I don't think we'll reach our goal, which is okay. I mean, if you guys have any requests, if you want to simply show your support, you can still send in super chats. Maybe I will change the goal to a single super chat of $20. And I will do the extra hour. We have gone on for an hour, so hit the like button if nothing else. That is also a good way to show your support. But again, to keep the lights on, to pay the bills, to pay the rent, I need money for all that. And it does come back to you in terms of the quality and quantity of the content as well. So it is well appreciated, but I like seeing you showing how much you value my work as well, if you expect it to continue in any way, just for future reference. Thank you so much, Sam Davidson. I do appreciate you. It means a lot. I don't know what the super sticker is. Oh, okay. It is a celebratory one, a pair in party attire. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, so let's see. Since we didn't reach that super chat goal, I will just have one more for 29 for $20 or more, which will take me to the midnight here. If someone makes that contribution, of course, anything at all is very much welcome. So feel free to send in the super chats with the lot numbers, so I can actually give you value for money. Here's the link to the auction that we're looking at once again. And we are specifically looking at a Rolex Daytona, a hand-wound vintage piece in yellow gold, in 14 karat yellow gold specifically, an example made for the American market from around mid 60s, presented on a matching Jubilee strap, Jubilee bracelet, I should say. And of course, it features that bakelite / plastic bezel set in that matching metal ring, a beautiful aesthetic that was in an important way brought back with the most recent series of the Daytona, introduced on the 60th anniversary of the model. Beautiful champagne dial and black chronograph registers that fit the aesthetic of this piece almost too perfectly. Reference 6241 combines that bakelite bezel with pump pushers. And again, this particular example is fitted, it's presented on a Jubilee bracelet. Here's the inside of the case back that is marked 14 carats for the American market at the time. Sam Davidson says, "Come on, gents, I will give another 10 pounds if someone else gives $10. That's good encouragement, and that will actually allow me to go until not 11 o'clock but 12, in fact. And I'm ready. I have another 2 hours in me, if not more. So as long as I see your support, I'll be more than happy to go. The champagne dial has a particular tint to it that's maybe a couple of shades darker than usual, a couple of shades deeper than usual. That's why the lot essay describes it as a kind of copper-like color. But in either case, it's quite attractive. And I also like how 14 karat cases gain this warmer tone over the years compared to 18 carats, which is a nice little detail beyond their rarity, of course. And anything that is more rare in the world of vintage pieces, especially when they're as desirable as this, is, of course, more valuable as well. And that's certainly the case with lot 31. For the Rolex Daytona reference 6241, the estimated value of the piece is somewhere between 189,000 to 378,000 in US dollars. Lot 34 is a piece that they call the Golden Pagoda an exotic dial, Rolex Cosmograph 6239. So the 18 karat gold piece has an engraved tachymeter scale on a bezel that matches the material of the case and the bracelet, which is a riveted oyster bracelet in 18 karat yellow gold as well. Beautiful exotic dial. Here's a closer look on that dial. This is a piece that has been previously sold in the 2018 Phillips Geneva auction that was called the Daytona Ultimatum on the 55th anniversary of the model. Beautiful hand-wound piece. The reference 6239 with a champagne Paul Newman exotic dial in 18 karat yellow gold. Lot 34 has an estimated value that is roughly between 636,000 to 1,270,000 in US dollars. I have mentioned before that this particular auction also has a specific sub-focus on prototypes, and here is a Zenith Daytona in stainless steel with a prototype dial. Looks kind of like a silver panda. With a prototype dial made by Baila. The aesthetics of the dial are more similar to 4-digit models, such as the 6263 or 6265. This is lot 33 for a Rolex Daytona 16520, a so-called example of the Zenith Daytona in stainless steel with a prototype dial, with an estimate that is in the range between $250,000 to $500,000. This is lot 33 of the Decade 1 auction at Phillips Geneva. Another interesting example of a Rolex chronograph is the so-called pre-Daytona at lot 35 with a pulsations dial. The piece has the classic tachymeter scale inscribed on its periphery, but at the center of the dial, there's an additional pulsometer scale graduated for 15 pulsations, which makes it kind of like a doctor's watch, right? Where you can basically take the heartbeat of a patient, engaging the chronograph, counting to 15 pulsations, and when you stop, that gives you roughly the heartbeat of your subject. Lot 6238, one of the ultimate examples of the so-called pre-Daytona in stainless steel. Caliber, a Vajra caliber 722. With a silver dial that has the additional pulsometer scale. The pre-auction estimate of lot number 35 is set between 127,000 to 254,000 in US dollars. We have mentioned that there is a stainless steel example of the 1518, but that is not the only 1518 in this auction. Here's a yellow gold example. Of course, the legendary 1518 is the forefather, the progenitor of Patek Philippe's elite complication, the combination of perpetual calendar and chronograph that was first revealed in 1941. Patek Philippe was the first maker to produce serially in the form of a wristwatch this unique complication, this unique combination of complications. And it was quite a feat of miniaturization to have this complication housed in a case that scales right under 35 millimeters in diameter. 1518 is most commonly found in yellow gold, just like the present example. Although obviously with only about 281 examples ever made of the reference, it is still extremely rare. So when we say it is a serially produced model, of course, that understanding of serial production in the 40s and 50s, when this watch was being made, is very different compared to our time. Very beautiful watch. Nicely preserved too. Here's a look at that classic movement based on the 13 ligne movement. Of course, finished in Patek's traditional way. Look at the regulator. Look at that Y-shaped chronograph bridge. The polished cap for the column wheel. The refined finish of the chronograph works. Everything is signature Genevan watchmaking. This is Patek Philippe 1518 in yellow gold, lot number 40, with a pre-auction estimate that is set right in the range between $250,000 to a little more than $500,000 in the US currency. Please hit the like button. If you have followed this, if you have followed the link on Instagram, feel free to subscribe here. Because after all, I have this kind of content coming your way, streaming in your direction on a daily basis. So stay tuned in, stay subscribed. If you want to show your support, or if you have any watch-related questions whatsoever, feel free to send them in with a super chat, which is a great way to support this enterprise. There are other ways, of course, and I outline them in the description below, in the video description. In addition to the super chats, of course, you can leave a super thanks once the live stream ends and you want to leave a comment. That's a great way to show your support. You can get a membership for yourself or gift memberships. That's a great, sustainable, and consistent way to support the channel, and it gives you access to an exclusive archive of content too. And beyond that, of course, you can always share the link with other watch collectors and enthusiasts and help me expand the community. Feel free to follow me on Instagram as well, if you aren't already. I have been on a very good run there, and I would really appreciate it if you could help me reach 25,000 there and 3,000 here. So help me get to even 30,000 when we, cumulatively, so to speak. That would be really nice. This is one of my favorite pieces. It is a bi-retrograde piece by Vacheron Constantin, the so-called Mercator, the reference 43050. This is a watch that pays homage to Gérard Mercator, the 16th century German Flemish cartographer. And if, in fact, those caliper hands for the bi-retro indication of the hours and minutes, of course, takes after one of the primary instruments of cartography. These watches distinguish themselves in a number of ways. Of course, the case design itself, I think, is beautiful with those fluted lugs. The dials are rendered in a multicolored Klausener enamel fashion with very specific drawings of the map. In this case, you have a Portugal edition one of 10 pieces, the number 9 of 10 pieces in this case. And they're also incredibly compact and beautiful to wear on the wrist. 36 millimeters in diameter. And around 8.5 millimeters in thickness, certainly under 9 millimeters, because it is one of those pieces that are powered by a movement based on the JLC 920. And as you can see, this is the 1120 line 2 Vacherons model, Vacherons variation of the JLC 920, finished at a level that bears the Geneva hallmark, as you can see, on the balance bridge as well as the base plate. The oscillating weight has a supplement there that is also inscribed commemorating the occasion, the 400th birthday of the cartographer Mercator. And the case itself, on its right flank, is inscribed with number 9, which is the number of this piece in the series. And as you can see, the Clausenet enamel drawing of the map takes center stage. The hours and minutes are shown in the form of the 2 scales in the lower part of the dial. And they're furthest from each other at around 11:59 and closest to each other, of course, at 12 o'clock, around midnight/noon, because they are retrograde hands, right? They basically snap back to point 0 when they complete their given scales, 0 to 12 for the hours, 0 to 60 for the minutes. The Vacheron Constantin reference 43050, Mercator from the Portugal series, number 9 in 10. The piece comes with the original set of its accessories, as well as an archival extract that confirms its manufacture in 2004. Lot 43 has a pre-auction estimate that sets its value somewhere between 31,800 to 63,600 in US dollars. We're entering the last 45 minutes. If I'm skipping over any particular lots, if you want me to go back or jump forward to anything specific, please feel free to send in a super chat with the lot number. And I will be more than happy to take an in-depth look at that watch for you with as much horological and historical detail as I can muster. Any watch-related question is welcome, of course. Hey, take on my talk. How are you doing, man? But if you want a focus on If you want us to stay focused on this auction, of course, feel free to send in a question about one of the lots presented here. This is a beautiful open-worked Royal Oak perpetual calendar. A reference 25/8/29 with the leap year indicator, and in the unique juxtaposition of tantalum and pink gold, which is signature Audemars Piguet. Look at that beauty. Of course, the perpetual calendar lends itself pretty well to the open-worked exhibition for a number of reasons. Of course, one, all the works are under the dial, which is great to display in this sort of open-worked or skeletonized presentation. When you have a sapphire disc, again, to show the phases of the moon, you basically get to show the phases of the moon in both hemispheres than just northern. Another advantage of having an open-worked presentation for a perpetual calendar. And of course, it just looks cool. There's also that. Again, tantalum, pink gold in this case, where you have the case and the bracelet largely rendered in those gunmetal tones of the metal, tantalum, and then the octagonal bezel, the crown, as well as the tapering interlinks of the bracelet are rendered in 18-karat pink gold. And the dial itself also has a similar color scheme, another shade of gray, in which most of the movement is rendered, even though there are, of course, gilt parts that peek through and communicate with the pink gold elements of the watch itself. And in fact, the rings, all the accents of the dial have that pink gold tone too. Number 12 of a 15-piece limited edition. Very beautifully inscribed on the case back. Look at those additional flourishes, of course, of those open-worked and gilt bridges that you can see from the back. Built on the JLC 920 base. Of course, what you're looking at is the caliber 2120/2802. Hand engraved details, again with an supplemental 21 karat weight added to it. Beautiful, beautiful piece. Audemars Piguet Perpetual Calendar, Royal Oak, reference 25/8/29 TR, two-tone in tantalum and 18-karat pink gold at lot 45. The estimated value of the piece is set between 127,000 to 254,000 in US dollars. Oh, C3D now, I think you were asking this about the Mercator. It's like a caliper. The hands are shaped like a caliper. We just looked at Lot 45. This is the open-work perpetual calendar in a unique two-tone execution from a 15-piece limited series. And before that, we looked at a bi-retro piece at Lot 43 by Vacheron. And since it's dedicated to a cartographer, it's like the calipers that you use for drawing. That's the main shape. Or maybe I'm missing something. I've always thought that was the case. Continuing the theme, we are looking at the latest generation of the Royal Oak Jumbo, rendered in yellow gold. And with that unique golden dial with a smoked outer rim. What I really like about this generation of the Royal Oak Jumbo, beyond the improvements and upgrades and the new in-house movement and everything else, is how they managed to make each rendition of it quite unique. Meaning that it's not just a different metal, it's also a unique dial, a very different aesthetic, right? Even though the proportions and the aesthetics remain as close as possible to the original Gérard Janta design, the stainless steel has its unique character, the yellow gold has its unique character, the pink gold has its unique character. Only perhaps the platinum has its unique character too, although it has been criticized before since it more or less replicates the series that was released for 15202 with the same color of the dial. Of course, there's the unique combination of titanium and bulk metallic glass as well, 16202 XT. Again, very much its own thing and doesn't look like anything else that AP made before in the Royal Oak Jumbo range. And this yellow gold one has been quite popular in and of itself. Here's a peek at that new movement, the caliber 7121 with its double bridges. And this piece was clearly made in 2022 on the 50th anniversary. So it has that specific design. "50 years of the Royal Oak." 16202 BA. AP Royal Oak Jumbo Extra Thin in 18 karat yellow gold. The piece comes with its original set of accessories, and at lot 48, It has the pre-auction estimated value set between 89,000 to 178,000 in US dollars. Lot 49 is another Janta design and another anniversary edition. You guys know the Nautilus is about to celebrate its 50th anniversary as well. That's coming up in 2026. This particular piece comes from the 40th anniversary of the Nautilus. A humongous watch, 44 millimeters, executed entirely in 18 karat white gold. This is the Nautilus flyback chronograph for the 40th anniversary. Its style in a unique shade of blue with baguette cut diamonds as hour markers and the so-called tombstone dial, which is inscribed 1976-40-2016. And of course, it does have that crosshair style single register look, which is rather distinctive of modern self-winding Patek Philippe chronographs. It is a column wheel vertical clutch movement, so you can essentially use the centrally deployed chronograph seconds hand as your seconds hand. Just leave it running without introducing any additional friction or wear and tear on the movement. And when you actually want to start a new cycle, start timing something, you can just press the lower pusher for the flyback function, where everything will be reset to 0 and start again right away, rather than going through the extra steps of start, stop, reset, and start again. We're looking at the 40th anniversary Patek Philippe Nautilus flyback chronograph, 44 millimeters in diameter, entirely rendered in 18 karat white gold with a unique dial. We're going to enter the last half hour. This is lot 49, a limited edition, one of 1,300 pieces. The reference 5976 line 1G 001. The estimated value of the piece is somewhere between 153,000 to 305,000 in US dollars. Again, I'm happy to extend the live stream for another hour in the case where I get that additional super chat. One super chat of $20 or more is more than enough. In the absence of that, I have 30 minutes more or less. That should be enough for a few pieces. I'll take a short break and I'll be right back, and we will come back to look at this Rainbow Daytona in pink gold. All right, I am back. And we are live and kicking. We're looking at the Phillips Decade 1 auction. They're celebrating the 10th anniversary of their presence in the watch auction world. And we are looking at an example of the Rainbow Daytona at lot 51 from the previous generation, reference 116595. Our bow multicolored sapphires for the bezel, gradients in the colors of the rainbow, so to speak. Not exactly, but you know what I mean. Multicolored gradient sapphires that are expertly selected to follow in those shades. The pink gold version, in addition to the diamond setting on the lugs and crown guards, also has multicolored sapphires, baguette cuts serving as our markers on the dial. This one has a very interesting story, so I will read directly from the catalog essay. Very interesting provenance. The present example of Rainbow Daytona features, without a doubt, not only flawless condition, but also one of the most interesting stories among those so far appeared on the public market. It is offered by the Gobbi family, one of the best known watch retailers in Milan. Their story dates back to 1842 when they were founded in Modena. They moved to Milan in 1986, opening the historic store in Corso Vittorio Emanuele. And they were famous retailers for not only Rolex, but Patek Philippe as well. As it turns out, the rainbow worked its magic even on people who have literally grown up among watches, so much so that in 2021, Serena Gobbi decided to buy the watch as a gift to her mother, Daniela. Not only the provenance from the family owner of one of the most important Rolex retailers in Italy is intellectually intriguing, but it furthermore affords the new owner of this timepiece one of the most, if not the most, complete set of accessories that a rainbow has ever been seen with. It comes with the customary box and warranty, of course. It also has the additional and hardly ever seen layer of the purchase invoice with which Serena Gobbi bought the watch from the company, and the never seen commercial invoice between Rolex and Gobbi. From these documents, it can be seen that the watch was sold by Rolex to Gobbi on July 13th, 2021, and Mrs. Gobbi bought it on the 30th of the same month and at the same price. As expected by watch connoisseurs of this level, Mrs. Daniela kept the watch purely for its aesthetic and collectible value, to the point of it still retaining caseback stickers, while the side stickers have been removed as Mrs. Villa informed us, it was standard procedure at the time the moment Gobbi would receive a Rolex watch. Beautiful, beautiful piece with a very unique story, with a very specific and precious provenance for lot 51, a Rolex Rainbow Daytona in 18 karat pink gold in Everose, so to speak, reference 116595, R bow. The estimated value of the piece before the auction is $286,000 to $573,000 in US dollars. At lot 61, we have FP Jaune Tourbillon Souverain from the Ruthenium collection, rendered in platinum with a ruthenium coated dial in 18 karat white gold, and of course the brass movement itself plated in ruthenium as well. The ruthenium series is a very special collection for FP Jaune in the way that it bids farewell to brass movement pieces, in the way it welcomes the larger case sizes, 40 millimeters in diameter, uniquely rendered in 99-piece limited editions, over 5 models that includes not only the Tourbillon Souverain chronomètre à résonance, the octa chronograph, the octa calendrier, but also the unique octa jour et nuit series. Beautiful tourbillon wristwatch with the remontoir d'égalité for constant force. This is number 57 of the 99-piece series, lot 61. The FP Jaune Tourbillon Souverain from the Ruthenium collection, with an estimated value set in the range between $254,000 to $509,000 in US dollars. We are closing on the last 20 minutes of the live stream tonight, unless, again, there are any last-minute requests. If you want to send in some questions, if you want to, if you want me to examine any particular pieces in this auction, feel free. Lot 66, again, specifically highlighting the prototype focus of this auction that celebrates the 10th anniversary of Phillips auction house in the world of watches. Lot 66 is the Vacheron Constantin Saltarello in prototype, reference 43041. This is a cushion-cased jump hour piece with a retrograde indication for the minutes, and the prototype dial differs from the production piece insofar as the open worked parts, the opening at the bottom of the dial, which gives you a look onto the retrograde minute wheel. The production models are also very beautiful looking and unique pieces themselves, but this is quite rare. Also because of the unique aesthetics of this movement, as well with the open worked rotor. The original case was apparently a yellow gold plated number that marked it as the prototype, test number 1. And in 2000, it was replaced with a full 18-karat yellow gold case that is inscribed pièce unique, marking it out as a one-of-a-kind piece rather than merely a prototype. The Saltarello still, as I mentioned, is a very special piece. Launched officially in 1998. It was made in 100 examples in yellow gold and 200 pieces each for pink and white gold. Beautiful jump hour piece with retrograde indication of the minutes. Lot 66 for this unique Vacheron Constantin Saltarello, a prototype that was also made into a pièce unique with a later modification at the manufacturer itself. It comes with not only the original accessories and the original gold-plated prototype case, but also an extract of the from the archives that confirms the creation of the new case from year 2000 as well. Reference 43041 at lot 66. The estimated value of this watch is set between 38,100 to 76,300. The last 15 minutes of the broadcast, again, if you want to show your support or if you have a last minute question, please feel free to send in a super chat. I have time maybe for 3, at most 4 watches at this point. I'll try to continue this auction, the coverage for this auction later this week. We have a so-called double-sealed example of the Patek Philippe perpetual calendar split seconds chronograph, a true neo-vintage classic, the 5004 G-015. The piece is called double sealed because it is in the exact same condition as it left the manufacturer, as you can see in its coffin box that has the seal of Patek's quality control, as well as all the stickers on that coffin box that have the corresponding barcodes and reference numbers and serial numbers. Here's a closer look at those stickers. And here's a representative look at the watch, which of course has very similar aesthetics to its contemporary 3970, which is the perpetual calendar chronograph. This has the additional split seconds function. And of course, even though it preserves the 36 millimeter diameter, the case has a significant additional heft, both due to the thickness added on by the increased complication, but also with the protrusion of the crown that has the rattrapante pusher, that has the split seconds pusher integrated onto it, in white gold with a black dial, double sealed, which means in the exact condition that has, in which it has left the manufacturer. This is the 5004 G-015, the Patek Philippe perpetual calendar split seconds chronograph in white gold at lot 69. The pre-auction estimate sets the value of the piece between 191,000 to 381,000 in US dollars. That's a great question, Ryan. Thank you so much for the super chat, first and foremost. I really appreciate you. Ryan asks, your favorite Patek annual calendars in platinum. And I'll cheat a little bit. I'll give you exactly what you want and something more. You guys know I'm always about giving value for money. So I will offer actually two suggestions, not one, but two. I'll start with the cheat example, so to speak, which is the 5960p. Let me see if I can find Eric ever selling one, because essentially this is an annual calendar, except it combines it also with the self-winding chronograph. Let's pull it from here. I will have to sign in. I want to do that before. Right here. This is an example of it previously sold by Sotheby's. A while ago, maybe at the height of the hype, of the post-pandemic hype. But these pieces you can find routinely under $50,000. It's one of those gems on the secondary market where you can find, again, some relative value compared to what you have at retail today. You get the platinum annual calendar and, of course, the self-winding chronograph with flyback functionality. By now, of course, that single chronograph register in the crosshair style has become customary. There's also a day-night indicator integrated to that to make it easier and more foolproof to correct the calendrical indications of the watch. This is an early enough example where the movement still bears the hallmark of Geneva. Beautiful, beautiful piece, 5960p. The other one that I really like is the 5056p. I have this right here, but I will pull some sort of listing as well. Here it is on my wrist. $5056p is basically the second generation of Patek Philippe's annual calendar in platinum. You have the power reserve indicator at 12 o'clock. You have the moon phase indicator at 6 o'clock with the date exactly at 6. Day of the week and the month are on the subdials, sweep center seconds, and Roman numerals that are filled with luminous material. And so are the leaf style hands. I like it a lot. Of course, you get that single brilliant cut diamond placed between the lugs at 6 o'clock as well. A great detail for contemporary Patek Philippe pieces rendered in platinum. Self-winding movement. If you are, a little more sentimental, so to speak, of course, you can go for the 5035, right, which is the original reference of the annual calendar by Patek Philippe, and those can be also found in platinum as well. But they don't have a moon phase indicator, if that's something important to you, if that's something that you consider at least as part of the deal. Again, thank you so much for your support, Ryan. Barring any last-minute requests or show of support, I have one more watch to discuss, and then I'm going to retreat into my lair. Probably coming back tomorrow to continue the coverage of this auction. Remember again, this is a completely independent platform. It works only for you, which means it is also dependent on your support. So if you want to support a truly independent channel, giving you an insider's perspective with great value, helping you make the best decisions on the market, both at retail and on the secondary market, and working truly only as your advocate, you should certainly use one of the ways that YouTube provides you. If you get a membership for yourself or gift it onto others, that is a great way to show your support in a sustained fashion. And obviously, it also gives you access to an additional archive of exclusive content. If you want to use other ways, I outline them below in the video description. Feel free to hit the like now, leave a comment after the stream ends, share the link to my platforms on YouTube at Young Brando, on Instagram at young.brando with other watch collectors and enthusiasts, and help me expand the community. De nada, de nada. We're looking at a beautiful example of the white gold Daytona with the blue dial from the previous generation. Incidentally, this was one of the pieces that John Mayer has shown in that famous second installment of his Talking Watches with Ben Clymer. He basically showed the watch that came to be called John Mayer, the 116508, with the green dial, and this, saying that they were released at the same time as the new, with the new ceramic bezel stainless steel Daytonas, and maybe therefore they have remained in the shadow of those models, even though, in his opinion, they should have been, and they are quite collectible. The yellow gold example with the green dial caught on fire basically after that. This one, not so much, even though there was some intensified interest before it was discontinued. Of course, it came back in some form again for the new series, but I kind of prefer this configuration. Reference 116509, entirely executed in white gold with a blue dial that has a very sporty sunburst look to it, especially with the additional red accents and the chronograph registers that match the Daytona writing, as well as the red markings behind the hour markers as well. Truly unabused collection, still stickered, in fact. A full set in like new condition, with the entire set of its original accessories. The guarantee card is dated September 18th, 2017 for this piece. Again, it's not completely unworn, I don't think, since they were at pains to put it listed as like new. However, it is still quite pristine. This is lot 67 For the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona in 18 karat white gold with a sunburst blue dial with its red accents, reference 116509. The estimated value of the piece is somewhere between 38,100 to 76,300. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you especially to St. Peter, Sam Davidson, and Ryan Hoffrey for their generous support. Again, that comes right back to you in terms of the quality and quantity and consistency of content on this channel and on my Instagram platform as well. I appreciate you. Please hit the like button if you haven't done so already. If you have followed this link either through Twitter or Instagram, feel free to subscribe here because I have watch content coming your way, coming in your direction on a daily basis here and on Instagram, at Young Brando on YouTube, at young.brando on Instagram. Feel free to stay in contact with me, whether it is through direct messages on Instagram or comments here. Any watch-related questions, don't hesitate to direct them to me. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully, with the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, wear and enjoy your watches. Goodbye.